Cleveland Browns. We talked about rubbernecking. And guys, rubbernecking is what is called when somebody drives past a car crash and they look around and they slow down traffic and other wrecks back happen behind them because we're so busy looking about what is over here. And that's what everybody's looking at doing right now with the Cleveland Browns. Like, what are you guys doing over there? What is going on over there? What is going on over there? Guys, simply put, the Browns are a dumpster fire. Simply put, the Browns are a train wreck. Simply put, the Browns are a car crash and we can't stop looking at it. We go to YouTube and we look up car crashes and it brings up Cleveland Browns games over and over and over again. Now, this offseason, they're trying to make some moves. They're trying to make some splash. But right now, they're just pouring gas on that fire. As James Frank just says, he's getting third-degree burns watching this team burn. But they traded for Kenny Pickett and they brought in Joe Flacco to presumably compete for the QB1 spot. Now, they still have Deshaun Watson on the roster, and he is listed as QB1 per NFL.com and CBSSports.com, but we don't know what his exact timeline is coming back, if he's coming back or if he's going to have more assault, whatever. We don't know. But presumably speaking, Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco will be battling for the QB1 spot once the NFL training camp starts. Guys, the question is, who should the Cleveland Browns start in 2025? Should it be Kenny Pickett or should it be Joe Flacco? It's just crazy to me that the Cleveland Browns are having this conversation yet again. It is crazy to me that we thought the Cleveland Browns finally figured out with Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield, and they had what? They had Amari Cooper and Odell Beckham Jr. and Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett and Jadarius Smith. Like, they had everything looking, everything cooking good, and now we're back to square one just a few years later. It's just crazy. Guys, but Kenny Pickett has been labeled a bust. Kenny Pickett, ever since being pushed away out of Pittsburgh last season, two seasons ago, he is a bust, right? His rookie season, 2,400 yards passing, 7 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. His second season in Pittsburgh, 2,070 yards passing, 6 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Goes back to Mike Tomlin can't develop quarterbacks. But hey, we will see, right? Now, he was a backup in Philly last season. He did win a Super Bowl ring with the Philadelphia Eagles last season. Now, when we look at Joe Flacco clearly has all the stats, all the accolades, all the vet status, the rings, etc. Joe Flacco has everything. However, this is his 19th NFL season. However, Joe Flacco is pushing, 42, 43 years old. Joe Flacco is well past his prime. Joe Flacco is well over the hill. Joe Flacco is nothing more than just a name at this point, to be honest. As I don't want to throw any shade on Joe Flacco, it is what it is. He got benched last year by the Indianapolis Colts for Anthony Richardson after he tapped himself out. That shows you how bad Joe Flacco played in 2024. But the real question is, what are the goals? What is the plan? What does the future look like for the Cleveland Browns? Right? Are they building for the future, aka tanking for Arch Manning, tanking for another top 5 pick in 2026? Or do they actually think that like they have a roster to win now and they're looking for that bridge gap guy? And I think if you want to win, if you think you have the roster to win right now, you have to start Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is a proven winner. Granted, we don't know how he will play this season. We saw how he played in Indianapolis, pretty shitty. But that's the Colts, and that's the story for a different day. But if you're looking to build a roster, put Kenny Pickett in there. See what you have out of the guy. See if he could be your quarterback for the future. He might lose you a lot of games and get you that top overall pick, or he could win you a lot of games and be a great guy. Guys, the point of the matter, there is no correct answer here. There is no correct answer because we don't know the goals. We don't know the direction. We don't even know what the wish list for the Cleveland Browns are moving forward. Let's just be honest. Every time we think the Browns have something figured out, they're like, hey, look over there. Let's turn this left, right? They're driving down I-70, I-80 going east and west, and then all of a sudden they end up in Oklahoma. You're like, what is going on? All of a sudden, they're on I-35 South, heading out of Des Moines, heading down to Kansas City, and the next thing you know, they're on I-10 in California. Like, what is going on? We don't know what's going on with the Cleveland Browns. Nobody does. But if you think you can have a roster that can win right now, start Joe Flacco. Let's flack around and find out, baby. But if you think you are building for the future, aka tanking, put in Kenny Pickett. That's just me personally. But who do you guys think? Who should start for the Cleveland Browns in 2025? Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco? Old Man River says Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco should and will be the starter. Real McCoy says Cleveland deserves all the losing records. They do. They screwed my man Baker Mayfield. Guys, I know some of you are new here. Some of you have been around, but let me tell you why I love Baker Mayfield so much. It's not because of his NFL play. It is not because he's the man, the myth, the legend. It's because when he was in Oklahoma, they were playing the Kansas Jayhawks. I believe they were at Lawrence, Kansas, playing that particular game. Baker Mayfield goes out for a pregame handshake, and the Jayhawks are like, "No, we're not going to shake your hand." Baker Mayfield proceeds to jack off and splue it on the crowd. Take that, Jayhawk fans. Go rock chalk this. And proceeded to beat down the Jayhawks by 60-plus points. Proceeded to give them another 20-game loss in a row. By the way, I hate the Kansas Jayhawks. That's why I love Baker Mayfield so much. I want to let you guys know that. James Frank says LOL or LMAO. Great band, by the way. We know Flacco should be the starter, but I see Kenny Pickett starting and Joe stepping in by week 5, I'll say. I still say we aren't that far, in my opinion. Our defense is still good if the offense can actually stay on the field. I'll just say that do not get me started. And honestly, James, when you look at the Browns roster, who is your running back? Because we know Nick Chubb is still a free agent. I was under the impression Nick Chubb took that deal, but he didn't. Jerome Ford is not your guy. John Kelly Jr. I don't even know who that is. Are you saying Jerry Jeudy's a true number one guy for you guys and Cedric Tillman and Michael Woods II? I do like Njoku as tight end, but the offense has so many question marks. You can have the best defense in the world. You still got to score 6 points or three points to like win the game. And I don't know if this offense right now is currently constructed could do that. Drew says, listen, I've been around the block. I've seen bad Kansas City Chiefs teams. I've seen good Kansas City Chiefs teams. And Drew is saying you have to start Kenny Pickett. If you want to build for this future, if you want to be like my Kansas City Chiefs, says Drew, you have to start Kenny Pickett. Take my word for it. I've seen it. Real McCoy says Bernie Kosar is coming back. We'll never see Cleveland Browns win a Super Bowl. That's tough. If John, correct me if I'm wrong, but Bernie Kosar was a undrafted free agent, if I'm not mistaken. And wasn't he the only undrafted free agent quarterback to win a championship? Am I thinking of the same guy or the correct guy? I think I am. I'm not for sure. James says, Kenny Pickett did say he ain't there to hang around. I like his spirit. I still wacko for Flacco. Draft Hunter and trade back in the first round to get Dart or Milroe. I think you're going to have to jump over 21 to get Dart or Milroe, but we'll see. Real McCoy's Cleveland's baseball team has a better chance of winning a Super Bowl. But the Cleveland, no, what do they call it? They're called the Guardians now, right? Because you can't say Indian, apparently. So, yeah, you are not right. James Frank says, tank for Arch Manning to have another Eli Decibel like when he got drafted by the Chargers and all of him got to the Giants. The Mannings ain't going to let Arch go to Cleveland. Not wrong. I wouldn't let my sister go to Cleveland. Pickett just spent a year without the bet with one of the best offenses in the league. You think he didn't learn from them? Listen, I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett is a bad guy. But what I am saying is when you go from an elite level when you come from an elite level organization, an elite offense, an elite defense going to the Cleveland Browns, you need to understand your role. You need to slow it down, baby. You need to understand that 2024 is done and over.